Hi there, my name's Jason Redding. I'm a geneticist at SA Studbook, and today I am going to be talking about one of our latest developments at SA Studbook, what we call the Breed Key version 2. So those of you who have been utilizing this beef genomics project and have been genotyping your stud animals, we have gained a lot more genotypes over the last 2 years, which have allowed us to develop a few more products related to that genomic information. So, what is the breed key version 2? Well, with BGP1, we had enough genotypes of 11 stud breeds to assist in identifying the breed purity. So, we can look at the clusters of the animals, and this allows us to determine where genetically that population exists in relation to the other stud breeds. And this allows us to therefore estimate breed composition. So the previous breed key was 11 breeds, but with BGP2, we can now increase that to 22 breeds. You will see from the slide that there are the three dairy breeds, the Ayrshires, the Jerseys, and the Holsteins. We've added alongside the existing composites like the Beefmaster and the Bonsmara, we were also able to add the Droughtmasters, the Huguenots, the Santa Gertrudis, and the Senepals. And then the main one is adding the remaining beef taurine or European and British breeds. Before we had enough for the Charolais and the Hereford, but now we can add the Akaushi, the Angus, the Brownvie, the beef Shorthorn, the South Devon, the Sussex, and the Japanese Black Wagyu. So we've increased it from 11 to 22 breeds. We've also increased the number of markers that we are using to determine this breed composition. So breed key version 1 only used 24,000 markers. Now we use 41,000 markers. So this increase in markers is making this breed determination or breed purity assessment a lot more accurate. Those of you who have been genomically testing in the last 5 or 6 years, all of your animals qualify. If they were genotyped on the Studbook 50K chip, either the chip that is being used at Unistel or at the ARC Biotechnology platform, so all of the BGP2 animals, as well as all the animals that were genotyped at Weatherby's since we started using Weatherby's in 2020, all your animals qualify, and that's around 86 to 87% of the genomically tested population on the Logic system. If your animals were genotyped on a Neogen chip, the 150K, the 100K, the 80K, the 50K, unfortunately, not all 41,000 markers are present on those chips, and I am unable to uh, accurately determine your breed composition due to the limited number of markers in common with the 41,000 markers that we need. Version 3 will come out very soon. We are just waiting for the Pinzgauers, the Pinzales, and the Romagnola genomic population to reach more than 200 animals. Then breed key version 3 will be available. But some of you may be having the question of how is Studbook determining the composition of our animals? Well, it all goes back to a reference population. So there's a video on screen right now. It's what we at SA Studbook refer to as a gene box. Every single individual dot is an individual animal's genotype, and every color is the breed in which those animals belong to. So you guys, you breeders have been selecting your animals for 20, 30 years, and genetically your animals from a specific breed are very similar. So if we look at these clusters, the orange cluster in the top right corner, that's the Boran or the Indocene breed that we have at SA Studbook. All the breeds that are clustering together at the bottom left, the blue, white, black, those are all the taurine breeds, like the Angus, the Hereford, the Charolais, the Sussex, the South Devon. There's quite a few breeds, all closely related to each other, but they all form a distinct cluster. They are all close to each other because they share a similar ancestry. They are European, British, taurine breeds. We then get our composite breeds, the breeds in between. So if you cross a Brahman with a Hereford and a Beef Shorthorn, you get a Beef Master. So that big purple one is the Beef Master. If you cross Brahman with Hereford, no, I mean, if you cross Brahman with Beef Shorthorn, you either get the Santa Gertrudis or a Drought Master. Those are the two clusters above the Beef Master cluster. And if you cross uh, Africana, which is the dark green one in the corner with Beef Shorthorn and Hereford, you get Bonsmara, the big red one at the bottom. And then all the other green ones are the Sanga breeds. You get the Africana, the dark, the Nguni, the Tuli, and the one closest to the Beefmaster is the Drakensberger. So by defining these clusters and cleaning them and doing quality control, we remove animals that are more than 3 standard deviations away from the middle of the cluster. Some of these clusters are still a bit messy, but don't worry, we did do the cleaning to make sure that the breed that we are referencing, the breed purity from, that cluster is as well defined as possible. As you guys genotype more animals, a new genotype comes into the system. I compare it to the reference, and then it tells you how related your animal is to that population. Some of you might be testing your stud animals and be thinking, but my stud animal is only 85%. Okay, but let's have a look at how genetics upgrades over time. So say you bring in a cow as a first acceptance animal. She's maybe has a little bit of, let's use the Santas as an example. She's got a little bit of Santa Gertrudis in her, but you're upgrading her. So you put a stud bull who's 100% Santa on this cow. So we would assume that the section A progeny is 50% Santa. You then take that 50% Santa section A animal and you put another 100% Santa bull, and that calf, the B, comes out on average 75%. But if that cow passes on 50% of her genetics and that full 50 is the same 50% Santa, that progeny could actually be 100% Santa. Or if she doesn't pass on any of her Santa genetics, her progeny could also be 50% Santa with the 50 from the sire. So a B animal can actually be anywhere from 50 to 100% of that breed that you are upgrading towards. But on average, we say the animal is 75%. Then if you take an SP bull that's 100% and you put it on that B cow that's 75%, and you make a SP, on average, it's 87.5%. But technically, the progeny could also be anywhere from 50% to 100% Santa. So that's why it's important that we are looking at this individual level, because we know that the genes are being passed on individually. And are you upgrading your animals towards the stud population's genetic cluster where they genetically occur at the rate of which you want to? So some breeds are already using this breed key that when they bring in an A animal, a cow, and they genomically test her, and she's already more than 80% of that breed, they can automatically upgrade her to a section B animal because she's already more than 75%, the average for a B. So just keep this in mind when you do receive the results of your animals and you think it's only 93%. If it's above 87.5%, according to the breed section standards, that animal is SP. So just keep that in mind. Some of you might be wondering, but I receive my reports and it's only the newly tested animals. Well, you can actually request your own genomic report with all the animals that you have genomically tested, where you are the breeder, the owner, or the person who paid for the genotype. Maybe it's a semen straw that's being used by a lot of people, but you paid for that genotype. That semen straw's genotype will show up in your report. But how do you get there? There's a screen that's going to come up now on Logix. You go to breeding values, you click breeding values. Then on the left side, you will see it says beef cattle. Click beef cattle. Once the screen loads, it will say genomic report. click Genomic Report. You can either select all the active or the historical, so all the animals. Let's keep all the animals. So just say continue and then press continue again, and it will say that the genomic report is being generated and will be sent to your Logix associated email address within the next 15 minutes. If you are Afrikaans, the menu option is teelwaardes, then vleisbeeste, dan genomiese verslag. Druk al die knoppies en jy sal jou genomiese verslag binne jou e-pos kry later today. Thank you. My name's Jason, and I hope you enjoyed this video on our latest development, the BreedKey version 2.